How do you think for other younger women in tech, other younger women, how can they get into that field of technology? What do you think would kind of help them or inspire them to want to take that step?
So specifically, a lot of the steps we're taking are good, making sure that it's present, that we're pushing women, we're giving scholarship to women, or also to non-binary genders, I should say, to make sure that it's not just one gender that is taking up all the spaces in technology, in machine learning, etc. I think, though, it's a lot of work on the whole work to do, because when we talk about things, when language that we use, we generally tend to attach meaning to it, a lot of profound meaning to it. For instance, if we're always using the pronouns he and him when we're talking about an engineer, that's gonna just like create a lot of expectation in the mind that this is always a male role. Making sure that we can remove these bias, remove these perceptions from the start, can help everyone realize that this is not just a role that can be covered by a male. So, for instance, what I try to do as well when I'm talking about my colleagues or my employees, for instance, and I'm discussing one of the engineers will take care of it, I'm gonna put you in contact with one of them. I generally tend to remove the gender from the pronouns, so they don't have expectation that it's only going to be a male discussing with them or vice versa, a woman. So I generally tend to use gender neutral pronouns and say like they will help you, except of course if we're talking about something that relates to their gender, I'm just going to try to remove the gender out of the equation if we're talking about work, and that's not important. So in that sense, they already have an idea that it could be any gender. And on the other hand, instead, if I need to show that the gender is important to the discussion, I'm always going to make sure that that is included. For instance, if we're talking about role models, it's important to specify that, right, she is a person that is in charge of this position. But generally, if it's someone that that is doing their work where the gender is not involved, I'm going to try to remove that. And I think steps like this, just making sure that we're clarified that anybody can cover the role, and it doesn't matter if they're male, they're non-binary, or they're women. It helps reconnecting, rewiring things in our mind, and removing the connection engineer male, and possibly also adding new connections that helps everyone not get any bias in their roles, being male roles or female roles. The original, let's say, gender, the what we think in our mind would be female or
Yeah.
gender or male roles. So
I think that's really
those are the.
interesting. And I mean, for you specifically in your field of machine learning, what do you think the benefits of having more women in that field would be?
So this is very important because we work with data and machine learning, and data has a lot of power. It's important to make sure that data does not have any bias in it. When we're talking about data from the past, there is a lot of things that are already, well, if we're learning just from data from the past, then we're learning for things to be exactly the same as the past. If, for instance, if we're talking about like natural language processing, so that would be like processing of the actual speech that we have. So a bit like I was mentioning earlier about the importance of languages and the meaning attached to it.
Yeah.
If we're talking about natural language processing, for instance, we could learn from the past that just males had the engineer role, therefore that is connected to being male. But once we have people that are affected by the biases in the data, they can find out that this bias is present, and they can work on removing it. So, for instance, in that case, someone like me would be like, well, I do not like seeing the engineer is connected only to being male, because I can see that's not the case. And I can work on making sure that the data is balanced so that you will not learn this connection. And a lot of things are similar to it. Once underrepresented populations see data, they can more easily figure out what the bias is and how they can help remove it, because it's just easier for them to see something they're affected by. So for sure, having more people from more genders and also more populations work on the data, see the data, they can more easily see what is wrong with it, how we can help solve it. so that going forward we'll have models that do not include these stereotypes, for
Yeah.
instance.
Oh, I think
So
that's
it's really
brilliant.
important.
Yeah, it sounds it. That's it's really something to definitely crack down on, and obviously will make a big difference as well.
There's a huge research field on debiasing machine learning models, and I'm always wanting to talk about it and to share it because I think it's really important to keep in mind.
Yes, incredibly insightful. Really, really interesting stuff.